Welcome back to the channel today, guys. Now, as disappointed as I am that we're not doing Nier today, which I'm pretty disappointed, it sucks. It really sucks. I'm really happy that we're finally caught up to another show. It's a great feeling to be caught up to a show and do it on the day it actually comes out. With Trigun Stampede EP.4 today. And my boy Wolfwood is here, baby! I'm so happy about that. We got introduced to Wolfwood today. Trust me, guys, you don't forget a man walking in the desert in a suit with a giant ass cross on his back. You don't forget that. So, I was quite excited for today's episode, to say the least. So let's just get straight into it and talk about Trigun Stampede EP.4 today. So our episode begins today with us seeing three dude bros just sitting in the desert. You know, they're sitting, they're surviving, they're vibing, and they're living. As they suddenly see a man walking across the desert. As they say, yo, what's wrong with that guy? Who wears a suit in the desert? I can guarantee he'll be dead here. As one of them says, no doubt, he's got a gravestone on his back. Haha, Cat W. But it's here as we get a good look at the man. Wolfwood's his name. We see our boy's quite hungry. But it's here we transition to Vash and the gang as we hear on the radio that it's been 3 days since the tragedy in Genora Rock. As we see that the three of them have just decided to officially travel together at this point. As the radio says, according to the witness, it's possible that a man and a woman are his accomplices. Military police in the 7 cities are currently looking for them. As Meryl's just like, they're treating us like criminals too? As Roberto says, yo, we're gonna get fired for sure if the company finds out. Let's kind of keep quiet about this. And it's here Roberto tells Meryl that Vash said he didn't want his share, so I'm eating it again. As he says, he hasn't eaten anything since that day. Only God knows what's on his mind. But it's here we see a giant cloud of something moving throughout the sky. As Meryl says, is that a sandstorm? And Roberto says, no, it's worms. As he said, wild worms is a valuable source of protein around here. The taste is alright, if you can ignore the looks. But it's here all of a sudden, we see Wolfwood just appear in front of the car. As Roberto has to take evasive maneuvers and smack the shit out of him with the car. As they run out to see if he's okay, and they laid this man out. So it's here they do what any good citizen would do and throw his ass in the back seat as they go and get help, as he's just deliriously sitting back there. And it's here as we see they make it to this gas station and run in there looking for help, and Meryl ends up finding the owners murdered inside. But it's here all of a sudden that we hear a noise coming from the locker in the corner as Vash goes and inspects it, and as he opens it, he notices that there's a child inside. And it's here as we transition outside, our boy Wolfwood says a bit of a prayer to send these people off, as he says, our dear Father in heaven, protect us from intrusion, save us from danger. To our brothers who passed, let the dead come back to you and something or other, I don't know. I haven't memorized this crap. As Meryl walks over and says, are you really a priest? And Wolfwood says, nah, I just know how funerals work. As she asks him, alright, if you're not one, then what's with this cross here? As Wolfwood gets defensive and says, keep your dirty hands away from it. And it's here as Vash steps in, we notice the kid off to the side, downtrodden, as we realize probably ain't the time to be fighting. And it's here that Wolfwood actually walks over to him and hands him a lollipop as he tells them, I was just like this kid. My parents died and I grew up in an orphanage. And it's here he legitimately says some wise words to the kid. No matter how heavy the cross you're carrying is, you can always fill your stomach and laugh. But that goodwill doesn't exactly last long, because as he walks back over to Vash and Meryl, he hands them an invoice for his work! $20,000 worth! As they say, you might as well have just robbed us at this point, what the hell? And it's here Roberto walks over and asks him, so how's your injury from the crash? You look pretty lively to me. As Wolfwood tells him, I'm a sturdy guy. But it's here all of a sudden that everything starts shaking, and they think it's an earthquake, until it's revealed that it's a giant sand worm as it devours all of them. And I gotta say, guys, this did not look good. One complaint I have with this show, if I'm being honest, is the fact that everything is so dusty and cloudy. I get it's the desert, but they're really doing that to hide the bad CGI. Because this show does have some little scenes here and there that don't look that good. So this scene in particular, you can't even see the worm, really. And that's not great, I gotta be honest. And it's here we transition to inside of the worm as we see that it just swallowed everything whole, but everyone's okay. And it's here as Wolfwood tells them, watch your step. We see that a lot of people in the worm did not do that. And as we see this little worm flying around, Vash asks, are they resonating? And Roberto tells him, so it's real that worms are connected to each other, huh? This is an electric network. The bigger the individual is, the more electron it possesses. This worm we're in is probably the heart of this area. In short, it's the boss around here. But it's here we see that kid start chasing after the flying worm as Vash and Meryl have to chase after him. And it's here as they make their way to 4 separate pathways, Wolfwood says, alright, let's separate. As he says, Spiky Head will go to the farthest one, and Shorty will go to the next one. Drunk Guy will go that way, and I'll go this way. I gotta say, very accurate nicknames, to say the least. And it's here as we transition to Meryl crawling through the tunnel. She's just like, how can we go our separate ways without knowing what's ahead? Which is true. I'm telling y'all right now, I would not go by myself inside of another living creature. No way. Inside of this worm, I would not separate. Hell no. I've seen horror movies. But it's here all of a sudden she notices the kid in the tunnel as she runs over to him, but then she suddenly gets attacked. And it's here as we transition back to everyone else. Vash says, I can't find anyone in there. As Wolfwood says, that's enough. We'll all be dead if we don't find this exit soon. As he says, those 2 are probably alright. Let's not worry about them for right now. As Vash says, I will find them and get everyone out of here safely. As Wolfwood asks him, even if you have to die? As he tells Vash, you're a weirdo, but then does a weirdo move himself and grabs one of the worms and eats it. Pretty freaking disgusting. As he tells Vash, the only precious life is one's own. One has to save themselves, no matter how many will die. Otherwise, they won't survive. As Roberto says, be careful, Stampede. Eat the same food to put our guard down, and poison the food that's given to us. Assassins do that all the time. As he tells them, our department's pretty crappy, but we do have a great information network. I've heard that some people can actually control these worms. As Wolfwood says, I wish I could, but I got eaten just like you, remember? As Roberto tells him, then why don't you let me have a look at that cross you cherish so much, huh? I've been observing it. A bit too heavy for a prop, don't you think? Why don't you let me have a look inside? And I'm not asking. As Wolfwood tells him, you gotta make me do that. Make me do it with that worthless derringer. And as Vash tries to break the fight up, Roberto says, Stampede. He's a man who can kill with a smile on his face. You can't trust him. As Vash tells him, no, I don't think he is that type. As Roberto asks him, what makes you so sure of that? As Vash says, just look at his eyes. And it's here we see that he really threw Wolfwood off with that, as he says, you messed up my posture. Meaning that he made him fumble a bit. But it's here as he turns back around, we see that Roberto's gone too, and it's just the 2 of them now. And it's here as we transition to these 2 looking for them, Wolfwood says, it's no use. They're all digested already. As Vash says, there were loads of bones on the way. That means it can't fully digest its food. And we haven't even seen their bones yet. So it's too early to give up. But it's here all of a sudden they hear a loud noise as they're actually shot out of the worm and they go flying into the sand outside. As they say, well, we found the nostril, I guess. And it's here we just hear, damn, those worms were snorting. That's the biggest one I ever seen. As we see our three dude bros are back as they say, run you two behind you. As we see that the worm is actually coming at them again. And it's here we see Vash actually stand his ground against the worm. As Wolfwood says, you want to go back in there? As Vash pushes him back and he says, no one can guarantee that you'll be so lucky next time. He must not know he's talking to Vash the frickin' Stampede, man. And as we see the worm barreling down on them, Vash is just standing there looking like a badass as they get eaten again. And I'm telling y'all right now, you need some balls of steel to do that. I don't think I could do that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I could. But it's here as we transition back inside the worm, our situation starts to unravel a bit as we see the one kid standing there. And as the kid runs over and hugs Vash, we suddenly hear Wolfwood say, a bit too unwary. Don't you think? As he tells him, you've only just met me today, but you've had your back to me so many times. Basically telling Vash, you're too carefree. I could have taken you out any time. As Vash tells him, you didn't shoot me though, did you? And as here Vash realizes that it was you, kid, who was controlling the worms the whole time. As the kid says, how strange. Normal people shouldn't be able to hear that noise. It's quite impressive that you realized. As Vash asks him, did you kill those people? And he tells him, when humans see a child with adults, they always assume they're family. As Vash asks him, where's Roberto and Meryl? And the kid just says, you came back for them? That's adorable. And as the kid takes his hat off, he says, you never thought you'd die if you came back here? As we see their surroundings start to warp, because he is controlling the worm after all. But it's here. It's time to get down to business. As we just hear, you still have your back to me. And it's here we see Wolfwood's uncovered his cross. And we see that it's a giant freaking gun, baby. As he says, eat this. And ends up blowing a giant hole open in the worm. And it's here with the hole blown open. The kid actually uses that to get out of there. As he says, see ya. If you can get out of here in one piece, that is. As we see the kid flies off with this really weird bug mask. And it's here we hear Wolfwood say, I won't let you go. As we see he's transforming his cross. And it looks pretty freaking badass, I gotta admit. As he says, you can't beat me so easily. As he shoots a giant laser from it and actually splits the whole entire worm in two. Right down the middle. And I love the fact that the dude bros are just in the corner watching everything happen. That's freaking hilarious to me. And it's here, as we transition to later in that night, we see that everyone's okay. But I do have one complaint. They didn't show where Roberto or Meryl were taken. They didn't show how they were taken. And they didn't explain how they were brought back, how they rescued them. They didn't show any of that. They didn't feel a need to tell us anything. They're just like, yeah, they left the episode for a couple minutes, but now they're back. Like, okay, I guess. And it's here as we see Wolfwood messing with Meryl. We hear Roberto say, I see. There's a machine gun inside his cross. No wonder it's so heavy. As he tells Vash, he's not who he said he was. As Vash tells him, but we are alive because of him now. As Roberto says, you're grateful for a suspicious guy's help, huh? What are you, a saint? As Vash tells him, people call me that all the time. And he walks off. As we see he goes and joins the others at their meal. By the way, the dude bros yet again, because of course it is. As we see that he actually starts eating again. As he tells Wolfwood, you can always fill your stomach and laugh. Right? And as he smiles at him, he says, I'm Nicholas D. Wolfwood. As Vash says, I'm Vash the Stampede. But Wolfwood's just like, nah, you're Spiky Head. Spiky Head it is. As he tells him, alright, let's get prepared to leave, guys. Let's go. Chop, chop. As Meryl asks him, wait, are you coming with us? And he tells him, yeah, I think I'm needed here, clearly. Seems like it's some dangerous people you're dealing with. As he tells her, I can give you a discount if you like. As she's just like, Roberto, say something here. But Roberto hits her with facts and says, but how is what he's doing any different than us following Vash everywhere he goes? And I'm sitting here like, damn, that's really true. As Meryl's just like, it's different, I promise. And it's here as they're arguing, Vash tells them all to look at the sky, and we just see all the worms from earlier collecting in the sky. As Meryl says, it's beautiful. As Roberto's like, those are just worms. And Meryl's like, can we just enjoy the moment, Roberto? Thank you very much. But it's here, our episode ends with two very interesting scenes. As we suddenly hear Wolfwood say, while he's alone, you went too far. Are you trying to kill me too? Zazie the Beast. As we see that it's the kid from earlier and that they were working together the whole time. As Zazie says, you won their trust, didn't you? You're so good at killing your friends anyway. Human lives mean nothing to you, right? I can see it in your eyes. As Wolfwood says, I'm just doing my job, no matter who it is. And it's here we actually transition to the Professor and Knives as we hear what Vash the Stampede showed then is probably the gate to achieving high dimension connection as we're suddenly transported to a facility. But it's locked with morals as the defense. As the Professor says, your brother is more humane than anyone. As Knives tells him, we just have to break it open, even if we have to break him. And with those words, our episode ends. And this was an interesting episode. They introduced my boy Wolfwood, who has one of the dopest weapons in this episode. I absolutely remembered this from the original series. It was dope. You don't forget stuff like this when you see it. And I'm really happy that he looks just as cool in this one as he did in the original. It makes me very happy. But this episode introduced a lot of things. Like I said, we got Wolfwood here. We get a little bit of information about what Knives and the Professor are trying to do. And we get a bit into Wolfwood's character, exactly why he's doing what he's doing. We'll see that at a later point. But for now, can he be trusted? Can he not? We don't know. We'll have to see with time. But I'd love to hear what you guys saw of the episode down below, because I thought this episode was quite fun, personally. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.